Good afternoon. Great seeing you all again. Obviously, we're here for one reason, and that's to introduce Sonny Gray as a St. Louis Cardinal. I think back to about Sonny Gray, and I remember back in 2011 when he was pitching at Vanderbilt, how we had a lot of interest in trying to draft him in the first round. Unfortunately, he was chosen before we got to pick, and ended up being drafted by Oakland. So, you know, it's kind of come full circle, and that's kind of cool. And there were a couple times we actually tried to trade for him too along the way. So here we are. And you know, people may ask, like, why do you sign Sonny Gray? He's a competitor. He's always looking to improve. He's aggressive. He fits this ballpark perfectly. And most importantly, he wanted to be a Cardinal. So when I think back to this process, I want to thank Bo McGinnis, his agent. He was patient. I tried to walk through the timeline and how we wanted to do this. We were hoping to be able to sign a couple of pitchers that we knew we could count on innings for. And then if we were able to accomplish that, then we were hoping to do something a little bigger, a little longer, and obviously that's where Sonny fits in. So I want to thank Mr. DeWitt, ownership, for being patient, for supporting us, to giving us this opportunity to sign Sonny. We entered this offseason with one simple goal, and that was pitching, pitching, pitching. And I'd say so far, so good. And, you know, as I reminded all of you guys last week, that this isn't about being done or being finished. This is about addressing our needs and doing something that we felt we needed to do. And so adding 3 guys to our rotation we think is important. We still know there'll be competition in spring training, but there's still 2 months left in this offseason. We understand there's still some work to do, and you know, the offseason's fluid. And so I just think we're going to take our time, reassess where we are, and certainly see if there's other ways that we can still improve before we get down to Jupiter. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Sonny Gray as a St. Louis Cardinal. So thank you.
Doc, if you want to come up here and get a photo here, Sonny, I can take a jacket if you want.
All right.
Yeah, the awkwardness.
Yeah. 54. Like it. Bob
Last
Gibson flicked
request,
around.
right?
Yeah, last one. Ooh.
All right. Up to you on the hat.
I'll put the hat on. I like hats. Do the hat. Do our handshake. Do the right thing, right?
Turn the floor over.
Looks good.
Congrats,
Yeah,
man.
thank you. Thank you. All right.
Floor's yours.
Floor is mine. I don't have anything prepared or anything, but I mean, Mo's right. Going into this thing, I wanted to be a Cardinal. That started probably a little over a year ago. It's a place that every time I've come here as a visitor, I've looked at the stadium and I've said, "Wow, this place is incredible." I looked around the seats and I've seen the fans, and the fans continue to show up and they support this team. And then you talk around the league and you talk around different guys who have been all over the place, and everybody raves about St. Louis, the Cardinals, the fans, how the fans support you, how the fans are hard on you, how the fans expect you to win, expect greatness, which is something that, as a player, as a competitor, that's something that you want. Especially for me, where I am in my career is I want to win. I want to win. Coming to an organization like St. Louis, the tradition, just walking in here this morning, you're kind of walking around and you're seeing everything, and you see the history right when you walk in, going into the clubhouse. The history's there, the feel is there. It's just a baseball town and a baseball city, and in a place that I'm thrilled to be able to come and be a part of it. I think that as Mo was saying, pitching, that's something that pitching is something that I love to do. Winning is something that I love to do. creating a pitching culture, working with other pitchers on a staff, pushing each individual pitcher on a staff to get better. That's something that I truly enjoy. You want to talk about changing changing a pitching culture or creating and establishing a strong pitching culture. I think you bring in Lance, bring in Kyle, bringing me. You want to talk about creating an edge, having some intent and some fire to the guys who take the ball. You're definitely doing that, and I think you guys, if you followed me at all, you definitely have probably seen that, and if you haven't, then you'll see it very soon. But you want to talk about someone who takes the ball and has an edge, you'll see it. And that's it. Like I said, I do want to thank everyone involved throughout this process. It's a place, like I said, it's a place that me and my family, we truly wanted to be here, and we're glad that it worked out, and we get to be here. So, very excited to be a Cardinal, and very excited to get this thing started. So, anybody have any questions?
None?
Can you talk about the fire and where it comes from? Was it born with it?
I think you're born with it. I do now, having an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old and watching them compete on a day-to-day basis. I think you're born with that competition and that fire. But I also think it's something that you continue to improve. I think that's being a competitor and having an edge and something that's something that you work on a daily basis. Just the same amount of throwing a curveball, throwing a slider, throwing a fastball. It's something that is practiced. It's something that you definitely have or you don't. But it's something that when things matter to you, winning matters to me, pitching matters to me, then the best part, the best version of yourself just naturally shows up. I love competing. I absolutely love competing. I love taking the ball. I love having that me versus the hitter. I love doing that. It's something that I genuinely love doing. And it carries throughout a staff. It carries from one person to the next. And when you start putting super intense competitors with an edge and with a fire, and you start stacking those guys up, then you're putting yourself in a good position to have success.
Sonny, you said you wanted to be here. How does it play out with your agent? Do you tell them, hey, make sure they know? Like, what if other teams are coming after you? How do you balance it?
Delicately.
Yeah. I mean, if you could been a fly on the wall or anything in the last week, I said before this thing, I was talking to Bo, and there's a couple of places that I wanted to be, and St. Louis was at the forefront of that. But then there is still a balance, right? You still have to go through the process and see kind of what presents itself. And St. Louis wasn't the first team to reach out and contact us and do this thing. We were moving along with other teams, and thinking, and then you start seeing yourselves in different situations. You're like, okay, yeah, that would be, that's, and then you do finally get a call and you get intrigued. You move down the road, and then once it becomes clear, it's a place. I did tell Bo that this is the place. Let's make it work. And then I don't know if a lot of free agents say this, but it's just who I am. It's just who I am. You'll get to know me. I said, hey, money's not the ultimate factor. This isn't the ultimate factor. Being closer to home, being on a competitive, winning culture, being in a place that you want to be, all those things definitely did matter to me. And like I said, when St. Louis called, it made this thing seem a lot more plausible. And then we were able to to work through it and get it done. And I'm happy. I'm happy to be here.
Sonny Mo thanked Bo for his patience. Also, probably in that is your patience as well as they work through other things. Did the signings as you saw Lance and Kyle go final, did that increase your intrigue? Did you kind of see what they were building toward?
We hadn't, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, we hadn't talked to the Cardinals before that. But then seeing Lance sign, Kyle sign, coming here, then you know, like, okay, you are going to be working with on a day-to-day basis guys who have been around, guys who have had a lot of experience and a lot of success in this league, which that's intriguing. That interests me. Be able to work with guys who have been there and done it, be able to bounce ideas back with those guys, but also being able to relate to some guys, being able to, I mean, we're going to get to know each other on the staff, but we're also going to push each other. We're going to have to push each other. We're going to have to be there for each other on a day-to-day basis. We're going to have to turn this thing into getting a really good understanding of each other and what makes it move for the other person, how to push the other person, I mean, it's a thing that we'll work through, but it's all like guys who want to be at a place and guys who still have that edge to them and guys who still want to go out there and compete and can still believe in themselves and can still go out there and dominate baseball games. I mean, we have guys that can do it. I'm also a little bit of a rambler, so I honestly forgot your question. So.
Whether those additions, I mean, it made it more appealing. But I guess that maybe the better question is, was there anxiety during that time going, are the Cardinals ever going to do anything? How long am I going to have to wait?
No, there wasn't, because you're also going through it and it just plays out how it's going to play out, and it's just going to be what it's going to be. So you're envisioning, when you're talking to these other teams, you're going, for me at least, you're going through these other situations and you're saying, A, are we going to win? B, is it going to be a good situation for me and my family? Those are the things that you kind of start with me. So then when you're going through the other teams, you know, you're just kind of siphoning through a lot. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed going through the free agent process. I truly did. There was a ton of anxiety, a ton of stress. I mean, you're making a decision and a commitment to a place, but that place is also making a commitment to you. So it definitely goes both ways there. But going through it, it's just, you know, but it is a big decision. But when the Cardinals called and when we started going down the road, the decision just started to get clearer and clearer and clearer, and it became an easy decision. And that's how you know it's right, when it just becomes an easy decision, a clear decision to make, and one that checks all the boxes for me.
Sonny, did you have to look at last year's finish for them, which was surprising around here? Did you have to look at that and say, I know they're going to be able to bounce back quick?
I believe I did see it, but I believe in the front office. I believe in the organization. I believe in the culture. I believe in the fans. I believe in the city. I believe in the traditions that have been created here. If you look at it, I don't think the Cardinals have had a losing season since 2007.
Correct.
Since 2007. So it's not a place that accepts losing. Losing is not an option. It's not a place that you just say, oh, the Cardinals are, you know, they're going to go through this thing. It just doesn't happen here. So I believe in that. I believe in traditions. I believe in longevity. I believe in, I mean, you're going to not have a losing season since 2007. You got a strong culture. You got an incredibly strong foundation. You've got good people. I believe the winning culture is still here. It just didn't happen last year, but I believe it's still here, and it's been here for a long time.
John, how early did you know that this was going to happen, that you were going to pursue it? Was it in the summer when you knew he was going to be a free
Well, I do remember that game he pitched against us in August, and he kind of shoved it against us. So that was certainly something we do remember. But, like, I mean, obviously he was having a lot of success. We were following that. You know, you hate to, like, start thinking about your roadmap for how to get better during, like, in August. But, you know, obviously when we hit the offseason, we knew that he was going to be someone of high interest. You know, you go back to the general manager meetings. We met with Bo. You know, he was very clear with us on, you know, what Sonny's expectations were, and that was good. And then the real question became more of the timing. Like, how do we accomplish what we felt like we needed to accomplish and do it in an order where the music didn't stop and we weren't left standing? So, you know, we certainly feel pretty good about where we are today because we were able to add these 3 arms, and we think about, you know, the type of makeup that they'll add to our culture, the type of character these guys bring. I mean, that's important, and it will be a difference maker.
Sonny, you're talking about the dynamic within the pitching staff, so that culture, the edge, that sort of like in a group though. Why is that such an important thing to you? It seems like it's an important thing to you, and is that just from past experience, or what makes that such a factor in your mind?
I've been fortunate throughout my career to be on some really, really good staffs, and in those staffs you have it. You have it. You have to be able to push each other. You have to be able to challenge each other. You have to be able to call each other out. You have to be able to lean on one another when a member of your staff is feeling some type of way. You've got to be there for them, but you've also got to be there for them when they're feeling the other type of way. You got to bring them down, you got to push them up, but I expect those guys to do the same thing for me. You have to instill the utmost confidence in yourself if you want to go out there and be successful. You can't just go into this thing and you can't be a good pitcher, and you can't have success, and you can't be a good staff if you just kind of like, if you don't believe it, if you're just kind of halfway in, you're gonna get halfway results. I mean, it's just what I believe in. It's just who I am. It's just how I live my life. It's just, I don't know. It's just who I am, and it just comes out when I get around baseball, and when I talk baseball, or when I pitch and when I do stuff. I mean, you have to, it takes a lot. Like, it takes a lot to be great. And I also know that one pitcher doesn't make a team win. You got to have everyone. You got to have every guy on the staff, bullpen. You've all got to be pulling in the same direction and have a common goal and have a common belief. And I'm a big believer in, like, me versus you, having that mentality, having that like you won't see me take the ball out there, and some people do. That's not who I am. You won't see me out there taking the ball and smiling to the hitters and telling them, like, how you doing? Like, you know, hope you had a good night or whatever, right? It's just not. You're gonna see that's the complete opposite. I believe in the competition. I believe in the competition of the hitter, of the hitter and the pitcher, and then the catcher as well. Like, that relationship, that all is incredibly important. You've got to be willing to be in the fight together as a whole unit, as a staff, like when Lance pitches, you have to be invested into that game. When Miles pitches, you're invested into that game. I'm invested into his outcomes. I'm invested into what we've worked on throughout the week, seeing it translate. And if it's not, being able to know that, hey, we collectively have all put in the work to have success. So now I'm here. I'm going to be here for you. You're going to be here for me when it plays out and when it doesn't. And if it doesn't, then we'll continue to figure it out. So it's like, you invested into each other because you're around each other so much. you see the work that they're putting in. So now when it's time, you also have to be there to support each and every person on the staff in different ways. It's I mean, it truly is like a brotherhood, a bond that everyone just has with each other.
Did you talk to an existing player in the roster before you made your final decision?
A current player, like existing means current.
Yeah, or a past player before you made your decision.
So I've been in touch with Wainwright quite a bit. I have been in touch with a few other players as well. And so I've been talking into making a decision easy. Every player raved about St. Louis. Every player in every aspect of what goes into this, you know, like all the things, not just the baseball things. So I was in touch with a few people, yes.
What's been the key to how you've evolved over the course of your career? We've seen you do different things at different times, and to have like a season like you did last year, how you changed and grown and improved over the course of your career when you see some guys not able to do that.
Right. I've understood the technology aspect of it. I've been able to incorporate that into my game. I think the main reason is it's just there's always something next, right? There's always something more. You can always be better at something when it comes to pitching. If you're not constantly trying to improve, then you're not going to improve. I mean, there's always something, right? There's always something I believe there's always something to chase when it comes to getting better, and there's always a direction to go. There's always something else that you can do better. There's always something that you can do better, and I just try to look for those things throughout my career of what can I be better at? What can I be better at? What can I be better at? But remembering what you're already great at. This is what I'm great at, but what can I be better at? I just think evolving over that, wanting to be good. I never wanted to be one of those guys too that got to a point in their career and then you just kind of like stay there, and like you see all those guys who are like okay and they do good, and then they get to a point and then they just kind of like stay the same or just kind of get a little worse, and it's kind of like, oh, let's just call it and be good with it. Nah, I don't like that. I mean, yes, because there's been so many guys who go through their career and continue to get better, and those are the guys that I watch, and those are the guys that I follow, and that's who I envision me being, and that's who I have been.
Sonny, along those lines, talking about getting better, you just finished second in the Cy Young. What can you get better at?
We can win the final game. We can win the final game. I went through a lull earlier in the season of walking guys, and then I made that. I was getting better at that. I can continue to make the right decisions and to do the right things for myself and my body, and put my body in a good position to stay successful and to stay strong. I think you can always continue to get better at that. So I started taking I kind of lost my sinker a little bit last year because I started throwing four seams. So I was going four seam, cutter, slider, curveball. So I was getting my hand in a supinated position a lot more. So then I kind of lost my sinker. That started getting better at the end of the season. So I can figure out a way to transition from being so supinated all the time to then getting back to behind the ball and on top of the ball, and then just knowing that each pitch is an individual separate pitch. So getting better at hand manipulation I can definitely be better at that. There's a lot to get better, and that's going to come with getting to spring and coaching, and getting coached. I enjoy being coached, so that'll come. There's still a lot to get better at. Could finish first in the Cy Young. You know,
Well played.
there's a.
Is that a baseball you picked up here or brought with you?
I travel with the baseball at all times, so I just thought it'd be a good idea to bring it out with me.
Mo, we obviously know you've spoken a lot about innings and how that's a place to build the rotation from. What factor was experience and seasoning? You hear Sonny describe what goes into a rotation and the culture that is established by starters who have been around. When you went into this offseason, did you prioritize that at all as a way to expedite a turnaround?
Yeah, we certainly value experience. You look back to last year and you try to unpack like what went wrong, what went right. But one of the things that we felt like from a pitching standpoint, we lacked those guys that have been through it and have experienced it. And, like if you're a young pitcher, who better to learn from? People that have been through it. Now, obviously, we had Adam Wainwright running around, but there's only so much you can do as one individual. So adding a much larger breadth of experienced pitchers was certainly a goal.
How did you, you've obviously heard what Sonny brings to a rotation. How did you know this depth of it, or are you hearing things today that kind of affirm what you expected from him?
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty well advertised on what type of person he was. And I think from our due diligence, we knew he was a guy that, as I started, he wants to compete. He wants to improve. I mean, those are like amazing traits in this business, right? It's a hard game, and doing it every fifth day over 187 days for 162 games is tough. And so, like, having someone that has that mentality that wants to do that is what we were looking for.
Sonny, you mentioned sort of the atmosphere and just the idea of, losing is not an option here. Some might refer to that as pressure, what do you want to call expectation. Why was that something that you looked for, and why is that something you feel like would be a good environment for you, and not necessarily have the adverse effect, where pressure can sometimes work against people?
I think because I throughout my career I've been through it, and I've been through different places now, different teams, different organizations now, and I've learned and I've grown so much throughout those experiences. I mean, the best way to learn and truly get better at things is to go through it and to experience, and then to come out the other side and say, you know what, I went through the ringer, and I came out a better person. I came out a better husband. I came out a better father. I came out a better pitcher. And to go through it, and now to look back, as Mo was saying, look back at a season. But I, as a pitcher, you also look back at each season that you have, and it's like, okay, what did I do wrong there? What started going wrong there? And then you're just like, okay, so having been through the ringer, you know how to get yourself out of it in one start or two starts, and not let it linger for 5, 6, 7. And B, you just know how to manage it better as when you go through it, and when you do have more experience, you learn how to manage expectations, and and the biggest thing for me is learning. The thing that I've taken away from going all that is dive into baseball, dive into pitching, dive into the things that you love. Don't listen. I mean, I have very high expectations for myself, so don't create all these things. Just focus on your daily task at hand. And focus on that. Focus on that, and just know that what you're doing and everything else, it's going to play out. It's going to play out in the end. Don't worry about the noise. Don't worry about this or what this person says or what that person says. Because another lesson that I learned kind of going through this free agency thing is not a lot of people know what they're talking about. And that's just a fact.
Say.
So, so there's no reason to why entertain it, right? Why even listen to it? You know who you are. You know what you're about. I just think that's the biggest thing. Having been through it, having been through the ringer, just focus on you and what you can control and what you're good at, and then you have your support system and your staff and everyone around you to build you up and to smack you down and to put their shoulder on you and to do all those things. So just keep your blinders on, keep moving forward and putting in the work, and everything plays out.
I've got one more last one. We've been going over about 30 minutes here, so.
You're in a unique spot going to winter meetings, having added the 3 starters that you said you wanted to add. Can you speak to what this allows you to have in terms of viewing the landscape when you will head to winter meetings, and as to kind of how things change or where you'll be able to leave things?
Well, nothing's really changed in the sense that we certainly feel like we've accomplished something for our rotation. Now I think we really need to sort of look at what trade options there might be out there and how we can maybe arbitrage that to improve the club. So, you know, like I said, today's a great day for us. We feel really good about what's happened over the last 10 days. But we also know there's still 2 months left in the off season, and what we really want to do is just not close any doors, not recognize or acknowledge there could be other opportunities. And so that's really what we want to approach the next 2 months as. So, you know, what might happen next week in winter meetings is still TBD, but, you know, we certainly feel a lot better about our club today than we did 2 months ago. So at that time, I just want to thank all you guys for showing up. I appreciate it, short notice, but thank you. And I think you can all see the passion that this young man brings and the excitement our fans should have for him. So thanks.
Thanks, Mel. Thanks.
Yes,
Sonny,
sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.